Zoom recording. Wonderful. Thank you all for coming.
Yeah.
Leanne had a family
To go,
emergency,
this
so
was February 27th.
I will do my best to try to run the laptop and keep everything going. Thank you for your patience regarding executive session. We're going to move right into the approval of minutes for November 16th, Selectmen meetings.
I move we accept the minutes from this from the November 16th minute.
Right.
Second it.
Is there any second?
Yep. Just wrote down who
That's not
who
good.
most, yeah, okay.
Yep.
All in favor?
Yeah. All in favor? Great. We are approved. All right, we need to approve warrant 11 and payroll warrants for November 22nd and November 29th and December 6th, because November was a long month. Yay.
I'm gonna say so moved. There's some you have not signed yet.
Correct.
I just wanted to say, but there's two signatures, so that would allow checks to go out, yeah. I don't know if Lucas gets sent or not.
Want me to do that now?
You know, no, you can do it later. I mean, there's two signatures already, so the checks
Okay.
can be released.
Okay.
I guess that's the big issue.
Great. All right, so let's move on to reports. RSU 10 report. Is there anything? Yeah.
So did we actually vote to approve those?
I thought you just asked me to wait.
No, no, we need to approve them in order for the checks to be, in order for the checks to be dispersed.
So we would like to approve warrants 11 and payroll warrants November 22nd, 29th, and December 6th. I need a motion.
So moved. I
All right.
second it.
All right. All in favor? Great.
You say RSU 10 report?
Yeah, RSU 10 report. Is there anyone here? Or on Zoom?
Yeah, I think that I went to a school board meeting, but I think I reported that at the last meeting, so nothing in between.
How about the road report, Tim?
I don't really have anything on the road report, other than we asking to come down about the Darrington Road. Request there.
Right, well, I told you about one letter, but that was dated November 27th. There's also a letter here from December 6th, 2003 as well, which was, of course, yesterday. And
23 or
23,
23?
2023. And in this, what they are asking, at least in the first letter, what they were asking is they want to have the road plowed this year, even though the town rejected opening it to winter maintenance. They'd still like to have the road plowed this year. And they're asking for a special town meeting to approve this. Not asking for any more work to be done on the roads, since they put in weeks and weeks worth of work on that road, but are asking for they're asking for the $7,200 it would cost to actually pay for to extend the plow contract to plow up there if the road commissioner determined that the road was fit to plow.
Was that what they were asking for this year?
Yeah.
They were asking for this year?
Yeah, it says here,
You can't have another town meeting where you just had one Don't you have to read, you know?
Especially.
Why do you have to read, you know? Oh,
Well, because, okay, so we do have something from, unless you want to read this, but,
I have to, it's part of the bill,
Yes,
because rather than falling in on.
yeah,
yeah, there you go.
Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I can read this letter if you guys don't want me to, it just arrived. Okay. Hartford Select Board regarding Darrington Road winter closure. The original closure of Darrington Road to winter maintenance was based on it being unnecessary to maintain based on population use and travel in winter. This has changed since the original closure. This is a subjective issue, but there is little doubt that the population use and travel have been quicker and the properties have been upgraded since that time. The vote at the June 24th, 2023 annual town meeting was based on some less than accurate information. The actual cost to get the road to a plowable condition was, in the end, less than the estimated, although gravel is still needed. Also, the road is not private, as was suggested by a few people. It is not clear if the voters were totally clear on this fact. At the meeting, discussions continued and comments were made about the road being private even after an attempt was made by one of the board members to clarify this issue. There have recently been some problems with what Central Maine Power is willing to do to maintain power on Upper Darrington Road. Last year, we were without power for 2 weeks after the road became impassable because of snow. CMP could not access the lines by vehicle and finally walked in to check it. The transformer by the Jasper's house was then reset after they determined there was no problem with the wires along the road. This past storm brought that issue back. The truck could not access a complete distance to check the line, and 2 CMP workers walked in. In the future, when we lose power and CMP refuses to walk in to check the lines, we would have a situation where we will not have electricity during that time, which could be many months. We discussed this with CMP workers, and they are waiting to hear from CMP supervisors about what they can do under these unusual circumstances. And this signed by Daniel Riley, Claire Riley, and Jeff
Volio.
Olio. How do you pronounce that? Okay. And this, they included guide to municipal roads manual, and winter closure of roads and abandoned discontinued roads based on state government stuff, and Title 23 Transportation Local Highway Law, General Provisions, Chapter 6 miscellaneous. Closing of roads in winter. And this is from, I think it's from the state of Maine. It's not really clear where they put this from.
What, the Title 23?
Title 23.
Right off the internet. Anybody can get the Maine revised statutes. MaineLegislature.org.
Down the little letters down the bottom.
Yeah. All right, and number 5, appeal. The final determination by the legislative body or the municipal officers may be appealed to the Board of County Commissioners of the county, which the municipality lies upon petition of 7 legal voters of the municipality within 30 days after final determination, and in appeal before the Board of County Commissioners, the decisions of the commissioners shall be governed by the standards set forth in this section. And that did take place, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
In any case, I was looking at the from the MMA attorney. So, what it says here in quoting from a letter from, Brianna Gerson, who is a, staff attorney with, the, Maine Municipal Association Legal Services Department, is that, if I understand the facts correctly, the town voted on June 18th, 2022 to close the road to winter maintenance. Then in June 2023, voted down an order to alter or repeal the 2022 order, which if approved would have opened the road to winter maintenance. If this is the case, then I do not think the statute requires the town to wait until June 2024 to ask the voters again to open the road to winter maintenance. The statute only requires that the town wait 1 year from a date of final determination, which is usually the date of the order to close the road to winter maintenance is approved, not any vote that fails to alter this type of order. The authority to petition the municipal officers to alter or repeal an order to close a road to winter maintenance can also be requested a year after the date of a final determination. But as she says, our vote in June of 2023 was not a final determination. It was just the failure of a warrant article to alter a final determination. So it is conceivable that the road be open to winter maintenance. However, it would require a special town meeting in order to appropriate. We couldn't tax people further for the purpose, but it would require a special town meeting to approve the $7,200 that would be required to be added to the plow contract in order to have this road plowed. The question really comes down to asking the road commissioner whether, in his estimation, that road is viable to be plowed.
Well, I've spoken with Jeff in the past here, and I've spoken with riders. And I thought that we were all on the same page that come this spring, after the first of the year, when we start doing our new budgets, that we were gonna try to work some money in for some surface gravel on that road. And see if people would agree to open it and pay the plow. And I'm assuming that's how we kind of left the conversation. I didn't know that we were gonna be asked to get a rate today to plow it this winter. The road needs a fair amount of gravel to there to be able to plow it and not. It's gonna be hard to plow it right now. There's a lot of rock. It needs some surface gravel. I think we're kind of in the middle here of the winter, and I didn't realize we were going to be asking Jim to open it this winter. And I spoke with Riley's, and they were all good because he asked me, what's our best thing? I said, let's work with the budget committee this spring and see if we can get some money for some gravel. And then we'll put it on the table for the cost of plowing it, and if people agree, and you agree to give us an easement at the end of the road to turn around. And that's how I had it left with everyone. And the road's gonna be hard to plow this winter, because it's not, I mean, I'm plowing part of it for nothing. I'm going from Jasper's up to the log end, which I think helped you put that. And beyond that point, there's still some telephone poles that have to be moved. We were just talking about that the last time I was up there was a couple of 3 weeks ago to go way in. They had to move the poles back.
I think we signed correct me if I'm wrong,
No,
on the
yes.
16th, we had one of these forms from CMP for moving poles. And we did sign that, but that doesn't mean they've got round to it yet. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
because
so
they have all
we've done our part to
They
make
have
that
it all
happen.
staked out up there to put new poles in and sell them back.
Yeah,
They
good.
just- Well,
So-
it was
so-
staked out back in the early spring when before the washouts. And then when the washouts came, and I got a hold of CNP, I said, are you aware of that? Because they had them marked to put poles exactly where the walls were.
right,
And I said, we're gonna be opening this road eventually, and we're gonna need these poles set back.
right. I remember you told me
So
that they were not overly
so they
cooperative about this.
On putting new poles in, and then they went back in the summer there and re-staked it out,
Uh-huh,
but they haven't been back to put the new poles or whatever. And so there's some telephone pole issues up through there. I think everyone should be patient on this year of trying to get that plowed. Let us work with the budget committee this spring,
I mean, I
lay
guess,
out a plan, and see how it goes.
well, that was my impression that we were doing the best we
That's, I
could.
thought, where we left off at.
I mean, you put almost $30,000 worth of work into it this summer out of your regular road budget. And then, but I mean, how much do you think it's gonna cost another $40,000 to?
No, I think we need some surface ground work through there, so we're not gonna stay last snowplow roll pieces. And that will create it not needing some money in the spring, there's some areas there that are gonna be pretty money come spring.
Well, man,
We've taken care of ditching the road, we're putting all the culverts in. But we put very little gravel, the only place we put any road gravel is where we actually put some new culverts
right,
in. There's still some areas that are gonna be pretty muddy,
right.
and I don't even, you know,
What about that money being?
We haven't gotten back yet.
we ain't got anything back yet. Yes.
We did it in the hopes of-
In theory,
They're gonna do some of that.
in theory, but don't hold your breath.
I wouldn't hold it.
Don't hold your breath is how FEMA money works.
$1,000 worth of improvement, we need some more gravel up in there. We don't have to put it all this year to get it plowable, but there's some spots up through there that if we budget some gravel this year for it, it'll make it plowable. But then the poles will be set back. And then we gotta take the road on, just like we have other roads in town, we budget a little money each year to try to keep improving. Instead of having to throw the whole thing like we were asked last summer to do. I don't think anyone's that against plowing the road, it's probably won't be that bad of a road plow, it just needed. Back a year ago, it needed a lot of work. But it got a lot of work this summer, so now if we can budget a little surface gravel up through there. And they get those poles out of the way, I think we could be pretty good next year, as long as the voters. You know, agree upon that,
Well, it seems to me that the voters are a lot more likely to do so because they're not gonna be faced
well, we're not
with,
looking at that great big number. that we
yeah,
want to plow.
exactly.
We're looking at plowing a mile of road and a little surface ground. So, I mean, that's about all I had to say about it. I did speak with drivers about, you know, they should send a letter requesting that they'd like to get some money budgeted this coming year to work on the road up there. And I just assumed they had to wait a year again before they could ask to have it plowed. So here's what it is, I guess. I mean, we're into December now, and it's gonna be hard to go in there while holes are in the way. I didn't really think they were expecting us to do that this winter.
No, I hadn't
I
expected
think
this either.
away there, just doing it to help them out of it. Yeah, and I think this spring we can work our budget, talk to people about it, and it probably will happen to get it opened up. You know, we're not gonna be throwing great big numbers this year at it, it's only the cost of plowing a mile of road.
Well, and if we can get reimbursed for some of the FEMA stuff that we think we're gonna get reimbursed for.
So that we're hoping for anyway.
That's what we're
That's,
hoping for. I don't know how long this FEMA thing takes, but I'm sure. Alex, they should be sending some money. I know we've done an awful lot of site visits and phone
Like, we've been here a
conversations
while,
and.
yes. And they've changed reps, which has held up the process, I'm sure.
Yeah, so.
We don't
I
think
don't
about
think
this now.
it's- I'm some not opposed to plowing that road. I just would like to see it in condition or not. The river is so long. And I will plow into the wall, yeah, and turn around this year to try to howl. Apparently this last storm when my
It's
truck
pretty,
went in
that's
there,
pretty close to
someone
Jeff's
that-
driveway, isn't it?
Pretty close to his driveway. I mean, someone had parked a car in that turnaround. I made a somewhat of a little turnaround there on the log yard. That place is pretty muddy. And apparently the truck went up in there this last storm and there was a car parked there. People can't park in that turn.
Yeah.
If things jammed up with cars, I'm just gonna go back and turn it around down that gas. So.
Can we
yeah,
put some
you know,
signage?
it's like that log jam, if they have park, they goes on
Jeff
there,
says it's
it's
been
not
addressed,
gonna
it's
affect
probably
the
somebody visit, yeah.
But that little area's gotta be left open.
Any questions on the?
I think we're all good there, other than we're doing up there. I mean,
I haven't seen any Leanne just join us.
well, none of the is gonna be that, but. That's not how it's called.
It looked like you could see the town.
What's that?
No? You can see us, yes?
Lucky we got as good as we can. Well, I guess that's it, as far as I have it. We'll work with everyone on the budget committee.
And wait for CMP to move the polls so that we have a safe way.
Right. Right.
And you said that the Riley's have agreed to do a turnaround.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Right, we will have to have that,
That needs to be part of the agreement.
yeah, well, we'll have to have that easement in place before we could
Right.
begin.
That needs to be a part
To
of the old
plow.
net road, they will sign an easement that would be for the town to have a permanent turn.
Whose responsibility is to get the easement written out? Well, that's been on the table for a year, because it's all, you should have been doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what we did together with, the Rileys, and we sketch out something and give it to Leanne to get something going on.
Seems like we must have
We
a,
don't need to have a whole survey.
Well, and it-
It's just a lot of money, all we need is some simple wording that we've got it. this-
well,
this-
it seems like we must have a boilerplate easement language in any case.
Yeah.
We
can
had
come up
one for the
with
bus
just a
turnaround.
easement and a
Yep.
Sketch of what we want.
Yeah.
So that in the future, someone.
Well,
goes,
because we have other places,
"Okay,
we have other places we need easements as well.
Yeah. It'd be a pretty simple thing as far as the easement goes, but it's not gonna cost us. You don't need a new survey.
I like to hope not.
So that's all I have. All I
That said, that said, I think it is important to acknowledge their concerns. You
I
know,
think this summer we were, what I talked to Jeff and the Rileys, I think we were all kind of on the same page. We're shooting for next year and
And when CMP moves the poles and everything, will make it a safer plowing area.
it will be pretty good there. You know, it's never gonna be a super highway like Stetson Road or 219, but it's gonna be a good solid town road and we can plow up in there. I'm kind of surprised CMP says they don't wanna maintain the power line up through there because they've got several power lines in this town, over behind Judy Brown's old house, from Phil Adams down through the woods. They have power lines run right down through the woods. It's the only way they can work on, there isn't even a road there. They have to use a track machine from Phil Adams down across these fields and get to Darrington Road. They did tell me that they're gonna run that power in from Tyler Corner in the future here, because that's why they mark all the new poles.
yeah,
But, I mean, and they're trying to get away from a lot of these roads that have a power line going to a house that's not plowed, but there's quite a few of them around town. There's a lot of places around town
oh,
that
just,
have power lines.
just up from my road, Pete Burrell's place, power line goes right up, right out into the woods.
Well, they just don't away with that.
They did?
Now all over the road.
It is, okay, well, it always did, I guess,
Yeah, it's always went
I
down
wasn't paying close enough
It
attention
always
to
went
notice
down
that it's
around
not
the
there
road
anymore.
up that.
Yep,
They did do away with
because
that.
of course that did used to be the road.
But he told me they're trying to do away with a lot of them, but they've still got power lines going to a lot of camps around this town that there's no road in the wintertime, and they obviously have to maintain that power.
Oh, hell yeah,
You can't just leave it laying there on the ground.
right?
But I don't think that's gonna be an issue, because I feel fairly confident this spring will get this all resolved, that everyone will be happy.
Hopefully. I like to hope so. I mean, I guess I thought we were, we were on that track.
Last spring, at the town meeting, it came up quick, it was a big number thrown in front of everyone, there wasn't much discussion, and it. Boy.
Well, and both of these letters from the concerned residents, the Rileys and Mr. Bolio mentioned that, some people thought it was a private road. And they seem to be relying on the idea that maybe it would have been voted on differently if people understood that it was a town road, but my feeling was that it was made pretty plain that in fact, this is the town's responsibility. It is a town road.
What discussion that it wasn't the town road. There were a few people that were really adamant that it wasn't.
Yeah, but,
The fact of the matter is.
yeah, it absolutely is.
Explain that to everyone, make it more clear, I think it would be a lot more understood. And you're not gonna be dealing with a very big number.
No, not.
Well, and if we get it into the budget, adding gravel to the road for.
Just then it'll just be part of the
Be a
deal
budget.
and nobody will really have any much to say about it.
Think this year, it was a budget, this work, get it plowable, and then
Oh,
shield those budget a little for it, just like you do all the others.
And by then CMP should have the polls in.
Oh, they'll get it. I've dealt with it quite a bit, it takes me a long time to move color.
evidently.
While we're talking about Darrington Road, I know that there was loggers out there. Is there an update on what's going on with that?
On which road,
Darrington,
I just asked Jeff, he said they moved out, so I gotta.
did they repair the culvert? and
I'm
get
gonna
everything
bring
back
the
in?
excavator back up there and repair that and give him the bill, because the logger agreed that when he was done, he'd let us come back and fix it, and he'd pay us for it.
All
Nothing
right,
to do with the town, he's gonna pay us.
Right,
nice. Okay,
that's why I was following through, because I knew that
good.
you guys had made a plan.
Yeah, the other one, I was just more waiting for them to be done, I believe they're done.
Jeff, you think they are too?
But honestly, I haven't seen anybody since nothing, no, they may have shut down during hunting, I don't know.
They actually was pretty good at doing that with us, because I noticed in some of them weeks when we had just pouring rain all week, they actually did stay out of it. Because I talked to the owner of that company, and I said, we just did a lot of work on this road, I said, now you guys are moving in here, I said, you gotta work with us and not try to destroy this thing, and he said, I'm gonna try to stay out of here, just, and I think for the most part, they did good. They did better than some of them that would have come in there and did 20 trips a day and.
What's
just
the name of
not
this
get out
company?
any-
You know what the name of this company is? I probably have heard this.
Yeah, Brown,
Brown.
Otisfield or Harrison,
Great.
yeah, they done good, they were concerned with the road too.
Okay, Ben, you're gonna stay a while, because I have something to bring up during the other business regarding roads, or we can talk about it now.
Let's talk about it now.
Okay, so I received a complaint from a person on Berry Road, and there's a lot of walkers on Berry Road. Beginning part of Berry Road in Turner has a speed limit of 35. As soon as you hit the Hartford side, there's no speed limit signs, and of course, rural roads are 45 based on state law. We've got a couple of handicapped people on that road, school buses on that road, and when you hit the crest of the hill, we've got some people that drive incredibly fast and of course mark up the road. Lots of skid marks and stuff, as well as deer. Is there any way, and I'm a walker, I walk that road 5 times a
Way
week.
you can post any of our town roads the speeds, and I believe we can tell we follow.
Or even caution walkers, but it is scary.
Before, the town has to vote on it, I don't know, you have to vote through the entire town or just a certain street. It has to be voted before I can go out and just put up a
Yeah.
sign.
Yeah, you definitely cannot post a speed limit sign. You have to, it has to be voted by the town. And frankly, I'm not sure if you have to, I don't know that it covers the whole town necessarily, but I think you can go with certain roads, but it has to be voted by the town and also, you know, it does involve the DOT. If I remember it right, even though it was on the roads.
No, not that's
On
a.
that town roads, but
But
unless we vote to change the speed to a different speed, it goes to the, I think, 45 or whatever. the
Right,
state has
this,
for.
Right, the
25
road
on a gravel road and 45 on a tar road. But, so my question is, we know who's laying rubber up there and, a good possibility that's at least one of the ones that's driving too fast. But what difference do you really think it's gonna make putting a speed limit sign? None.
So,
Well,
we have a couple of
frankly, that's what
handicapped
I'm
people on the road, and one of them is quite disabled that gets off the school bus. Where that school bus goes on that very steep driveway, it makes it very difficult, so they have to stop quite a while. And the cars come screaming up that hill and, you know, as soon as they're off the bus and the bus starts moving, the family's trying to get their loved one down into their home and it's winter, but there's still walkers, I'm still walking. I'm just saying, I've had so many close calls on the Hartford side and they're screaming through there like it's a super highway. Is there some sort of happy medium, either a caution sign? None of us want a handicapped person sign out there. We don't want to draw attention to anyone that's on that road walking a wheelchair or a handicapped person out walking on the road to be.
I think if you have one person or group that's continuously doing that, the best thing is to call the sheriff's department. And have a complaint, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Call which department?
sheriff.
Oh, the sheriff's department.
Oh,
Yeah, I
and-
mean,
and
we could put up all the signs in the world, if they don't take anything to them.
Well, and even though you don't figure that the sheriff's gonna do anything, you still call and report something because otherwise, if something really happens, they're gonna say, well, it's first, we've heard of it. Yeah. When it's been going on for a long time. I know people have said, when they've been broken into, have said to me, well, I'm not gonna call the sheriff, they're not gonna do anything about it, but you know, if it becomes a worse problem and they've never heard about it, then they'll say, well, we never heard about it. And if you call the sheriff, at least it's on their record.
So if a children at play or something signed have to get approved by the town people?
No,
No?
only speed.
Oh, so there you go.
I mean, I don't know if there's such a thing as walkers or, it's not all children that play, that's for sure. It's a lot, it's adult and seniors walking on that road and. When I say seniors, I'm not a senior.
Oh, but I mean, it's fine. We can't change the speed limit without it being voted.
Well, like I said, the Turner end already has speed limits of 35.
They probably voted because
I don't know,
I
but
believe what you're talking about is caution pedestrians, but a lot of times, that's just a picture of someone.
walking, yeah,
You know. So what are you suggesting that maybe BIM could, put a pedestrian sign in his budget?
maybe
For
even at the
signs?
bottom of the hill or
we
going
have
up.
a budget for a sign. It's just a matter of if you want a sign put up, we have to, discuss what you wanted to say. We have got a whole multitude of
Okay,
signs.
All kinds of, and picture signs, it doesn't have to say words, it could have just,
If you decide you want a sign put up, we'll order it, put it up.
because
and I
the,
could also contact the sheriff's department, and have them take a drive through that road to hopefully maybe slow down some traffic.
you know, it might. They could do.
That's people, give it the blue one.
Aircraft speed control.
Guys, speed control.
Aircraft.
Well, and we have a business on that actually, a couple of businesses, we got a garage and we've got the winery. And there's gonna be more and more
Going in and out
customer
of there.
traffic, and but we can try to slow traffic down to 35, 40, be greater than the 60. So I know a cyclist that lives on my road almost like had to go into the ditch and hurt himself on his bicycle because,
I don't think you pay attention to speed limit sign.
You know, frankly, I don't either, but you know,
but if we can get a pedestrian, some sort of sign, I'll work with Leanne. And I will contact the sheriff's department on behalf of our complainant and my
mhm. Well, the
That's
other thing
right,
is
too.
when somebody calls you up and complains about that, say to them, have you called the sheriff?
yeah. And I
And,
make that
and
recommendation.
you,
to the
and
complainant.
tell them what I just said to you, even if you don't figure they're gonna show up.
Yep.
Call and get it on their record, because if they get multiple calls and more calls and more calls, it's just like, do you remember, it wasn't this past year, it was the year before, we were having so many thefts on Church Street and, and people getting ripped off at the beach. And it's like, you can't just like let it slide because you don't figure the sheriff's gonna get there in time to catch anybody. No, they're probably not, but you gotta let them know about it so that they can,
Add it to the route. and start looking like it.
it's, you know, nothing's gonna happen if you don't at least let them know that this is going on. And when they get enough complaints about something, then they're gonna be aware at least that there is a pocket of problems.
Yep. Okay,
So,
I will
I mean,
respond.
they're
to
our
the-
sheriff department and they're not gonna be able to, they're gonna do their best work if they hear from us.
Great, thank you very much.
He's got his checks.
All right, constable report. I love that.
Nice to quiet. Yes, I went to church for tomorrow, and I do like the people, ringer speed, and walking.
Okay, CEO report, which we did get one. From our code enforcement officer, it is, everyone pick one up, it'll be on the table.
Have a good evening.
Thanks for
Thank
coming.
you.
Guys,
Just to summarize the code enforcement report year to date, we've had, issued, 26 building permits at this year, last year, this time, they had 30, and then year to date plumbing permits is 12, and last year we had 21. There were 3 complaints that came in that are all being,
One is closed, so there's actually only 2 complaints.
oh.
C11 is
Oh, final
closed,
report,
final
gotcha.
report. There are 2 pending.
2 pending, and then, there are no other inspections I can see, and, we have this log here. Excellent.
He does a good job of keeping us informed.
I don't think we got an ACO report yet for this month, but we did have ours last month, and I will send.
If we get one a month, that's fine, you know,
I
that's
will
all
send
we're
a
asking for.
reminder So that she stays on it. Okay. Planning board report. Do we have one in here?
Yep.
I thought we did.
There are minutes from a planning board, from the November
Planning
6th planning board meeting, I believe.
I'm assuming that she sent those out to everyone.
So I see the report I see the report that has been closed. And I see the one that is, about gray water. I don't see the third one about, house trailer. I'm assuming that is the, double wide there, but I don't know for a fact. I think it is.
Ordinance committee, I think she already gave a report at the last meeting from there.
Yeah, Bonnie's not well tonight.
What's that? She's not feeling
Yeah,
good.
no, she was not feeling well. She she let me know that she wasn't gonna be here, so
Gotcha.
no report tonight.
Firework report? No, we got information regarding some reimbursement, but at this point, we didn't need to go after that. And the treasurer's report. Okay.
We have an expense detail report, but no actual. It's not like we don't have to have a reconciliation. Of something today.
As I said, our town clerk is not here. We do have the expense summary. All right, cemetery committee report.
The only thing I have to bring up and talk about is next year's budget for the cemetery committee, if we need funds with the board. Prefer that we request funds at a town meeting, or would you prefer I request funds that
You-
are currently available
You just,
from the board?
in other words, to take monies from the cemetery account,
From the cemetery funds.
the
that are
reserve,
already
there's
out
reserve account.
that are available as interest.
I guess it depends on how much you actually need.
I'm thinking, be under 1,000, and 1,000 being nice. For some chemical D2.
And do you have enough,
Please,
and does the cemetery reserve have enough money for that?
Yes. Much more.
Well, then I would imagine that you would take it from the cemetery reserve. Otherwise, the budget process works by submitting a letter of request to the town clerk by the end of the year.
Right, that's why I wanted to see what your recommendations would be before the end of the year. If you recommend that we just request it from the board out of funds, then I don't need to worry about.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I think that, yeah,
Right, I failed to ask that question that you was brought up without asking. I failed to ask it in the last. Like. That's really all I have.
Solid Waste Committee met last night in the kitchen, and there was not a quorum, and therefore there was not a real meeting. I know that the newest member hasn't been sworn in yet, but she also had one of her children had a medical emergency, so she wasn't gonna show up no matter what.
gotcha.
Kathleen wasn't there either. I kind of expected her to show up, but so it was a short meeting. We hung around for a while, talked about some other stuff. But yeah, it wasn't a real meeting.
All right, calendar reminders, there's an ordinance committee meeting December 20th at 7. The budget requests are due by December 31st. And those are the 2 calendar reminders.
Oh,
We have unfinished business, the beach policy. On the beach policy, we had been asked to see if we could make some accommodations for folks if they had a gathering or a birthday party or whatever. And how do you notify our constable that they're doing that? And we tabled that till this meeting. I know for me, Ken had a great idea where he had a family gathering at the beach. He came to the town office and got a couple of guest passes for their cars, and they loaded their cars and went to the beach. And it cost you, what'd you say, Ken, last time, $10 or 15?
$10 each for a week.
For a week, right? A day pass is $5 though, right?
Could have been 5.
Yeah, but you did a week, but that would be one way to handle if somebody wanted to do a beach party, birthday party, whatever, that would be easier for the constable to maintain. Because when you got your pass, that goes in the,
Who's on the dash?
on the dash.
Don't bother them. That's no question. They have already presented me on that.
And it has a plate on
Yeah,
that. Hey,
Mhm.
need this already forbidden part. Work.
I know the policy already has if you wanna have a large gathering, you've gotta come to the select board anyway. And I don't know if that substantiates what a large gathering is, if we have a number of people, but. Luckily, the policy can be amended, when we have more parking, we can make some different changes, but. I know it's coming,
Well, my understanding is that they've done some work towards that, so, baby steps.
right?
They're getting there for the parking. Moving up. This needs will probably better fill. in-
Ain't so that people Rumford anymore.
Which is great.
Yeah.
I actually saw some people that said, I can't believe I couldn't go and use the beach I've been going since the 1940s. I said, well, it's not your beach. It's not the beach it was back way back when where someone else owned it. This is now the town beach. So,
They lied to you. Other than that, what are you looking at?
you know, right. I don't know.
Oh, it just makes some shit up.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But we had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Enforcing the rules, and I think it's coming along.
I think it's working good, we thought we'd try and review it. And think that, it worked out pretty well last time.
I know I heard some people moan that they got talked to about getting a pass, and I'm like, well, we have rules, and all you gotta do is follow them, go into the town hall, get your pass, and be all done with it.
So, no kidding. Wow. You need a pass for your car? Did you also need to register it and insure it and you have a driver's license? I mean, hello? Welcome to the world.
Well, it's my suggestion that, at this point, when people are doing, like birthday parties or gatherings, that there's a way to handle it right now through the $5 guest pass. Everyone gathers at that house, gets in the cars that you bought guest passes for, and go.
Yeah, which,
You can't even go to a
obviously
birthday
that's
party at
good.
a movie theater without spending 25 per kid just to get them a movie pass and popcorn.
Well, I think part of the idea of going to the beach is because you could have a party there and not have to
Right?
spend the kind of money you'd spend at a roller rink or a bowling alley or the movies. And one of the things about children's birthday parties is, okay, well, we can't meet you at the house, but we'll drive down there and meet you there. Oh, wait, no, you can't do that. So, I mean, I don't think in terms of children's birthday parties, this is probably not ideal. But maybe it just is what it is.
Any other comments from suggestions?
Anyone on Zoom?
Anybody on Zoom? I totally apologize for not asking. I'm rooting on
Just-
Zoom thing. No, I don't see any hands or anything that
They still hear us, right?
I think so. Solar panel installation update. Yes,
On the beach, wouldn't it be prudent to take a vote, it's just gonna get rid of that, what, and.
do we need to think about on the policy?
Um,
So this doesn't. Be carried on.
Can you
Well-
continue it this time?
If there's no amendment,
No, maybe not.
I don't know that we would have to.
So I'll
take a
just
vote.
make a note in the notes that we will continue the current beach policy at this time.
Mhm.
Great. Right. Looking for an update on solar panel installations. I want to see that.
Oh, it's in there.
It was intact together. Where the-
No, that's something else. It starts out, heat those rooms. Starts out, it looks like this. Heat those rooms, I highly recommend electric space heaters to put in each room. An electric space heater to heat the basement is not going to be just one of these little Amish cubes. Although why electric space heaters would be made by the Amish is beyond me. But, I think of them being not electric people.
Thick section.
What's that?
It's pretty thick sections.
Looks like this.
There we go. Yeah.
Is there anything we decide with that tonight?
I don't think so. Is there anything to sign about around the solar panels installation?
No. This is giving an update. What we're gonna be
Is
getting.
Leanne still with us? Is there anything that she needs to tell us about this?
Something was.
You say when they're starting to.
Well, what I do have here is from Leanne saying also please forward any invoices as soon as possible so that the solar panel installation can begin. Having to do with heat pumps, talking to the heat pump folks who say, oh, well, so just have electric heaters in these other places. Oh, that is so eco of us.
How much to wait till the concession is talking about that, or you want to wait?
So Leanne stated that we have enough for 23 solar panels instead of 17 as previously noted. Enough money. And they'll be installed over the winter time. Thank you, Leanne. Cool beans. Excellent. That's more than we expected, so that's great.
It's still not a whole roof full, but maybe at some point we can,
Apply for something else, but it was still helpful.
or even invest in some more panels because we might just well cover the roof than to have. Here's picture of what it'll look like. It's like, it'll look a little bit like a jack-o'-lantern with two teeth missing, as far as I can tell. But it's on this, on the south side of this building, yes.
Yeah.
And they will offset the electricity that we'll use for running these heat pumps, never mind the fact that because there's heat pumps, we'll have to buy electric heaters to, what?
How can we get a 2-foot snowstorm? There's snow.
Oh, they won't bother.
Doesn't look like they got panels on the edge.
No, solar panels aren't bothered by snow in the least, and because they're dark colored.
Yeah.
Because they're dark colored, it will, the snow will shed off them really fast. Cause they're at enough of an angle,
Plus we have 5 days of.
if, even if we have 5 days of snow.
No, I meant 5 days of no sun. Look at the snow on the trees is lasting.
Well, yeah, the snow on the trees has lasted at my house too, but the panels, my solar panels shed off in no time.
Wonderful.
No, I did go off and sweep them just because I want to get as much power in as I can, especially in
Yeah.
December when the days are the shortest. It's like not the best power days, but even when it's cloudy, they're still trickle charging all the time. They'll be going all the time.
So that power goes to the grid and then we get a credit from the grid?
That's my understanding.
And who applies for that permit or notifies CMP? Is that company or is that something we have to fill out?
I don't know.
I believe it's all part of the contract.
I think it's all part of the contract. My solar system at home is not grid tied. So I couldn't tell you.
All the quotes that I got from my house were included, they would.
They filled out.
Start with CMP.
Yeah, okay.
The great thing about this is, though, you can be creating enough power to run the whole town. But when the grid goes down, your power's down anyway. Even if the grid is down and the sun is shining brightly, you're still down because you're using grid power.
Right.
So you're really tied to the grid. On the other hand, we have a generator over here that comes on anytime the power goes out. So in theory, we never run out of power. Even when, I mean, even when the grid goes down, that comes on, and I will have to assume that, one of the things people have to do with a home generator is if you're running the entire house and when the grid is down, you have to be careful not to be back feeding into the power lines and electrocute CMP workers who are trying to get the grid back up. And I'm assuming that thing has some kind of
You have a switch.
some kind of
off the meter that automatically trips,
a,
so it doesn't backfeed much.
yeah, there's gotta be something.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works because
It doesn't.
I'm off grid, but it's pretty important. It's one of the things they tell people if they have just some little home generator. But these installations like that are made to run the entire house and come on automatically whenever the grid goes down, I think they're automatically have anti-back feed technology.
My generator comes on when Rusty starts it. Cause I
There you
can't
go.
pull it strong enough to get it going.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
Good thing you kept him around, huh?
I'm gonna keep them around a while longer. Okay, open session, we have new business in the packets.
Did you say it's open session?
Should we bring this up?
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, don't just put past open session. You ask if anybody has anything for open session. And I'm going to say, you ask if anybody else has anything.
Does anyone have anything for open session? Yes,
You wanna put a cement, barrier post in front of the heat pump down the west where you can see over the plow,
Down below,
town office, the heat pump
Outside,
outside.
put a Jersey barrier or something.
just
that's a great idea.
Just something.
because people could drive into that.
Oh, you don't laugh. Look, they ran into they wrecked the whole freaking building.
There's that, and the unit next to the town office, when it condensates, the water is running down the cement, and it's making a tunnel from the water.
Huh, oh, great. Huh, great.
Back into the building.
I don't know where we could get one of
I
some
don't know where
areas.
it is it?
It's right beside the building. I mean, it's hooked to the building, but
I saw
no, it's on a
it.
stand.
Yeah,
So, yeah, I don't know what to say about that.
I don't know where you get them cement barriers.
barrier or something to stop them from hitting
Yeah,
that.
probably not Jersey barrier, just a bollard.
Yeah.
Ground, to be built with the ramps on, you get another $80.
Oh, yeah.
Pop it in. Already pre-made.
Ground eight,
But then brings over a big rock.
two froze yet.
Right, or a big rock.
A piece of granite.
Piece of granite.
Yeah.
The same thing be done in front of the town office, so they know it's
Mhm.
falling. It's rocks first.
When you go to one of our convenience stores and you see a bollard, it's because somebody turned our store into a drive up. And so there's certain areas now, we just automatically put them in now, because we've had so many people drive through our front doors or into the
Yeah.
propane tanks.
Man,
We need to make a motion for him to be able to get some sort of variance.
no. I wouldn't think.
Great,
So I have something for open session,
great.
and this also involves Steve as maintenance guy. I was noticing the other day, I was outside looking at the hall, and not one of these storm windows on that side are closed, and I noticed that there's at least 1, 2 over here where the storm windows are not closed. It's winter now.
Yeah, I close them all.
Well, they're not closed.
No, they're not now. I have closed them before, but we've had a lot of people using the building.
Right, and we had some warm days, so probably they should.
Yeah, well, in any case, the storm windows are not closed, and I think that it would be more than a good idea to get those closed.
Yeah.
Now, I see this one's got a little ring of condensation on it from the cold air out there, and you know, we're heating this room. Maybe not all the time, but keeping the storm windows closed would help. The other thing, I don't know, you want to bring this up or you want me to bring it up?
I can't believe they didn't insulate this building.
Why would they? They weren't planning to heat it except for once in a while.
Yeah, that's true too.
Why would they?
I wanna say, by the way, the floor looks really good, and it's too bad the shine didn't stay away. It was looking, my family rented it,
I was going for the state of that shiny inside.
it's a lot of years on this floor.
Okay, you want me to
Go
bring
ahead.
this up or
Yep,
you
go
want?
ahead.
Okay. We got this little invoice here from Gammon Landscape Nursery.
Yes.
Hello, I hope this finds you well. Please see attached invoice for work recently completed from Gammon Landscape. What? So I looked at this and I said, huh. And it looks like, it says bill to Mike Kushner, Maple Hill Road in Auburn, and I don't know who that is and why this is here, but it is supposed to be for plowing 1 extra hour, and what
Gurney Hill.
what Kathy tells me is from Rick Gammon plowing up on Gurney Hill.
Right. So what I heard earlier this week from our road commissioner was that, the family that lives up there on Upper Gurney Hill is not happy that they're not plowed first, and there are major.
Everybody who lives up there is not happy that they're not plowed first.
So, but, in the priority of roads, we have a plan on how the roads are plowed based on need and families
Yep.
and access.
Yeah. Primary, secondary, and tertiary.
And we, as far as I'm concerned, we didn't agree to hire a private plow person to plow one of our roads sooner than that
They're
has
not
one
sup-
family on it.
They're not supposed to anyway.
On top of that, it's illegal to plow the town road if you're not the town contractor.
Ricky called me
Yeah,
and he was complaining that the plow hadn't been up there and blah, blah, blah. So I tried to explain to him that the ground is not froze completely yet, and it's kind of hard to plow dirt roads.
yes,
So he took they plowed with the big truck up as far as Shreds. Then they went in with the 1 ton.
Yeah.
The rest of the way. And I rode up. And I could see where they went in with 1 ton, but I don't know whether Ricky thought it should be like a super highway plow job.
Sure
going
enough.
to there,
I
or
don't doubt.
what? So he called Bim after he got done talking to me, and I guess they had a few words.
yes.
I bet they did.
They were a little
Oh,
correct.
So then
I don't doubt
after
that
that,
for
then we
me.
received this bill.
So,
They're cousins.
Yeah.
well, that doesn't mean they're kissing cousins, I'll tell you what.
So we have no contract to pay a private plow person for our town roads. And he does not have permission to plow the
So
town
I'm bill
roads.
for 10 grand for messing up the road.
Mhm.
So, maybe we can have Leanne draft a letter, let him know that we will not be
Yeah.
paying
Yeah.
him to plow town roads, and then we have a system in place to how and when our secondary roads are plowed. I mean, it would be great, like where
So
you
there's
are,
new people up there, right?
Huh?
it's a family with 2 kids, is what I heard,
But it's not the same folks that
It's
used to
his
have,
son, right?
living in a camp, yeah.
Ricky's son, isn't it?
living up
Rogers,
at Rogers Camp. So this was to plow up to Rogers Camp.
probably from Shreds. He's
But
probably
is there
staying
anybody living in, what was the guy's?
way
name?
up, way up.
Way up,
No.
yes. Nobody's living up
Nobody
there.
up there,
Well,
but he
that's a
rents
blessing.
that, so you never know when someone's gonna be.
Oh, so it's Airbnb still. Yeah.
He did gated communities too. Is there a gate up there?
He does.
Man, that's cost a lot of money, that gate.
No doubt. Where's the gate?
Right after the cemetery. Right at the end of the driveway,
Yes,
and that's huge, the black beautiful gate.
yes.
So, my suggestion, as I mentioned, is to have Leanne drop the letter back to this saying we're not gonna pay this, and then
Yep,
the town has a plan on plowing secondary roads, and
The town called.
It's not, that's not a secondary road.
She can say something if the town is willing, if the town called and asked you to plow, we'd be happy to pay for it, but if we didn't.
right,
So
Right.
whoever called you, she'd be responsible for paying for it.
it's a great.
Right.
idea.
It's absolutely, I like the way you think. Certainly not for the town to pay. Not only is it not for the town to pay, but what a dreadful precedent. Then anybody who doesn't like the way the road was plowed can plow it and send the town a bill. I don't think so.
I did meet a
We're not
vehicle, but
going
I
there.
didn't know
What?
who it
What's
was.
that?
I did meet a vehicle going up, cause I was coming down, but I didn't, had no idea who it was.
Hmm.
It was probably them.
Be, like Cutter and Saddle.
Oh, God.
Okay, thank you, everybody, for your feedback and input, excellent. Is there anything else on open session? All right, let's move forward to the Snowmobile Club Trail Use Report, trail use permit. So, we have had.
This is standard. It happens, it's every single year. This is,
from the Canton High Riders, and we work with them every single year. This is a 2-year agreement.
one of the things we've done in the past is we have used a 0 in how many inches in diameter they can cut. And, I don't know I can't remember how many feet wide. You know, we are supposed to say how wide it is too, and I don't remember that, but you know, it's just standard boilerplate.
Okay.
We do this every year.
And they also, don't they also ask for, well, we're not doing it here, so I guess we don't need to talk about it. Snowmobile funds based on registrations.
Yeah, they don't ask. They, you know, we send it to them.
Right. Okay, so, who is who signs this?
Oh, you can sign it.
Great, I will do that. Leanne, I'll put it in your packet.
Is she actually hearing you? I don't know if anybody's hearing us. I haven't heard a peep out of anybody, and that is not usual.
Well, we had 3 messages, they're all from Leanne.
Okay,
Everyone else has muted their stuff. We haven't taken muted.
And was she telling you what to do? What is she explaining?
Leanne,
to you
oh,
what
she was just giving us an update on the solar panels.
Oh,
3 different messages regarding solar panels. Okay, town hall use permit proposed amendment.
well, which goes hand in glove with the next one.
Okay,
Oh, let's see. Use permit proposed. So I had a question about this. Why is there no provision for giving the key back?
they don't get a key.
we open it for them.
We open it for them.
Ah,
We open it for them.
It says here, if heat is required to, the 4 remote heat pumps need to be adjusted, may need to be adjusted. So people can't just use the thermostat and turn on the furnace.
Right,
Can if you want to.
That's not what it says
says
here.
kitchen has 1 heat pump which is not to be set below 55. The main hall has 3 heat pumps which are to be turned off when closing the hall. If the use is only for the main room use, only the main room heat pumps, you would keep the kitchen doors closed. If using both rooms and adjust the kitchen kitchen heat
Heat
pump as
pumps.
well. The remote which operates all heat pumps is located on the wall inside the town hall side door. The remote must be pointed at each heat pump being adjusted. Just like a TV remote. You don't point at the TV, it's not gonna change the channel.
Right, turn the furnace off, you're gonna freeze the place and raise it. Nothing down there for heat. other than furnace.
Yeah, I'm not entirely comfortable with just having all heat pumps all the time. I mean,
No,
is
I don't
that all
think
it's,
I don't think we have to really.
I don't understand why we can't set the furnace thermostat at,
55.
Actually, it's fine.
well, I don't even have to be 55, but it shouldn't be much lower than that
Right,
in the areas where we have to protect our pipes. I mean, this idea of, oh, let's put a little space heater, that bathroom is just about big enough to get in there and use the toilet and turn around. I mean, it's certainly not ADA accessible, but where are you gonna put a space heater in there? And a space heater down in the basement? Well, frankly, I think that we might need to talk to our insurance company about the idea of putting space heaters around. Because that doesn't sound like the most brilliant plan either. To me, now, if in fact this room is being heated exclusively with heat pumps, it's certainly more than warm enough. Maybe because there's 3 of them, I don't know.
also this provision in here, there it's suggested that. Even if someone is using the hall free to the public, including funeral related events. That they must submit a certificate of insurance as stated above. If it's because of the new heat pumps or.
I think it has,
Legal,
I'll be perfectly honest with you, our insurance company would prefer that we did this.
that's the reason why we have the gather guard.
Which is why there's this. And that is something that is, I mean, you just look at it, this is a sales brochure from an insurance company that wants to sell insurance to anyone who rents the hall, so it's $75 to rent the hall. And I believe they say it's $76 to buy your insurance. But if your homeowner's insurance does not cover you, now, one of the things that happened recently, we had 3 recent renting of the hall. One was your Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
One was Cassidy's Thanksgiving, which she, some people heard about. I think a lot of people didn't even hear about it, but,
I thought it was really good. Yeah, go ahead.
oh no,
And the
well, I
doors.
guess it wasn't. And the third one was the Hendersons from up the street, Rosie and Ed Henderson. If you look further in this packet that's from the Gather Garden, if you read through here, what you'll see is that, let's see what page this is on. Hope this message finds you well. Thank you for your question. With regards to this certificate of liability, the Bedard coverage document and the Goulet certificate of liability appear to meet the requirements as presented by the town's rental policy. The Henderson document is not compliant with the town's agreement as it only demonstrates that the Hendersons have property insurance for 799 Main Street. Now, your insurance didn't cost you an extra penny,
Correct, I said.
but
our policy-
Cassidy
Yeah,
had 1 day worth of insurance and it cost her $175 just to insure this hall for 24 hours. I know, that's nuts, right?
Yeah, you think she's doing something good for the town, and she's sort of use it, no?
They chose to
Oh, they chose to
do
do
it
it.
that way. But I know, I mean, I've got, pretty decent coverage on my place, maybe it's because of the higher level coverage that,
I couldn't tell you.
but I sent
It
our
does say
policy to
it-
my
there is
insurance
some stuff-
company and I.
All right, you have a little, no, they have, Henderson's have Liberty Mutual. Excuse me. Not sick, I just coughed a lot. This one from Susan was, I can't see what the name of the insurance company is, but, Eagle Insurance Agency.
Yeah, I have farmers, so that's.
They're Farmers Insurance, okay. And then Philadelphia Insurance Companies, and that is the one that cost $175. I mean, holy Moses,
Right,
that is just insane, you know? She saved $75 because I don't believe we charged her for the hall because it was a free to the public event, but $175 is a lot to pay. For, in fact, absolutely nothing.
right. Yeah,
You know, I mean, if somebody had slipped, trip and fall or died choking on a piece of turkey, then it would have been handy to have. But $175 is a lot to spend. Seems to me. So I don't know if that has anything to do with why this town hall use permit has been amended.
and the policy.
But I do know that Marcus Balu is our, the guy who's in charge of risk management in our buildings, and I'm sure they do not want. It's being municipal insurance, they don't want us renting it out uninsured,
Right, no, I totally.
or
agree.
giving it to people
I'm
who are
concerned
uninsured.
about it being uninsured, so all it takes is somebody in here to trip and say, I mean, we got it at our stores. All it takes is someone to trip and fall, and he could have done that for the last two stores too. But it's up to us to prove that we didn't, trip him, or the floor wasn't slippery, or. So coverage
Yeah.
is kind of important.
And there's a lot of people who are more, not only looking for somebody to sue, but isn't the town a good target?
And I remember when we signed our select board certificates that we're supposed to be protecting the townspeople from
From liability, right?
liability.
Liability. We gotta stay on it.
They amend it, but they want to know what you have to make adjustments, then.
This is proposed and showing changes, and the changes involve, not-for-profit events that are offered free to the public. This was there before, including funeral-related events may be allowed to use the hall free of charge as determined by the select board and must submit a certificate of insurance as stated above.
I just call my agent, she sends it to me, it's pretty easy. to me.
Just what I usually do.
It's not gonna be a charge, there's here. Maybe. They can use paper, because get kind of finger from glass and not, right? But you're worried about something like that.
No.
Everyone wants to use stuff.
And if they have insurance, I mean, you don't have to make them use paper. I mean, if they wanna wash the dishes,
Oh,
You know, I'm sure I'm covered, but you can have glass there, maybe better.
well, if we were to adopt these proposed changes, nobody's gonna be allowed to use it without insurance. The question is whether we, I believe the town would have to buy into this gather guard, although it would be at no cost to the town. We'd have to sign up so that we could, browbeat the individuals into buying this insurance rather than using their homeowners. No.
well, if the
So
homeowners-
I don't know what to say about this. This is part, I mean, I did my homework, I read everything. I have not really figured out how I feel about this. You know,
Question,
Leanne has a comment that says we might wanna wait and table this until we figure out the heat pump and bathroom and basement issues. Or, because it talks about.
Yeah, question.
What heat's gonna be at and everything else on here.
If you have the gather guard, would it be mandatory, or if you want insurance, you would have the cost?
I'm assuming if you have your own insurance, you could just use your own insurance,
Except
but
for-
I don't know that because I haven't had a chance to really read this. They do have an 800 number, I guess we can call and ask them, but only if you are Monday through Friday from 8 to, 8 PM.
So my suggestion is that we table this, and Leanne or I, or either one of you two want to call. But I want to read through this insurance packet a couple more times, because it's a little confusing.
Right, well, there's not much of a packet, there's just one page about the gather guard, but then there's all of the back and forth between Marcus Baloo and Leanne.
I'm just trying to figure out why Liberty Mutual is not sufficient for mine.
Well, because their policy only covers their building, it doesn't cover off premises events.
Well, mine doesn't, they just added it in for the day. But it didn't cost me,
At no charge.
besides mine.
Well, and Philadelphia, or is it Pennsylvania insurance, whatever, Cassidy had, is Philadelphia Insurance Companies, is bloody expensive.
Yeah,
And maybe, just maybe, this is the insurance she has on her home or her business insurance, I don't know. I mean, she's undoubtedly, if she's going to people's farms and working with people's horses, she probably has to have some
some sort of liability.
serious insurance. To cover her if some horse kicks her ass, or to, if somebody's horse gets hurt, or whatever. She probably has to have significant insurance, and so I don't know, you think if her insurance was that great, that she wouldn't have to pay that kind of money for an extra day, but maybe this is her homeowners compared to her business insurance, I just don't know. I don't know those answers.
So, so I suggest we table this till January, which will give us a chance to make a few phone calls, and figure out, especially when people are,
I think that's a great idea. On top of that, it's
I think
9
the
o'clock,
issues
it's
that-
time to move right along.
So,
So if we put a thermostat down in the basement.
Yep.
Turn on 55.
Yep.
There is a register down in the basement. That current
For the
basement
furnace.
is small. Heat up the pipe downstairs, if it gets below 55.
Yeah.
And you can turn this thing on wherever you want up here.
We want to turn them off when we're not using the hall.
Right, no, but I'm just saying, you have another way, they worry about things freezing up and use the heat pumps to beat it up. For thermostat, everything's going on 50, 55.
So why don't we just leave the furnace on when we're not using the hall to the 55? Then if someone comes to use the hall, turn the heat pumps on. Turn 'em
usually
off,
when
put
we're
the
not using the hall
furnace-
anyway, it's in the kitchen, and heating. Right.
Put the
Correct.
furnace back on.
And the bathroom,
Right,
Put the
but
furnace
that
back
is
on
again, that's
55.
baseboard.
There is a control down there. System that stop the heat from blowing out here, and just keep it in the kitchen.
Right.
Yeah.
But those aren't actual baseboards, this is hot air baseboards, aren't they? I mean, they are obviously running alongside the baseboards, but they're hot air nonetheless, right? It's not baseboard heat that we think of as, it's not
certainly
plumbing.
don't wanna make it prohibitive for anybody, but we're gonna need some clear directions when people use a hall.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna need you or me to come back through and say, is it right?
The bathroom's the biggest problem, I think. There's no heat in there, it's from the furnace, right?
That's correct. One of the things that occurred to me, if what we're doing is using heat pump for the kitchen, one of the possibilities is to put a vent at the floor and again up above, so that the heat, so that the cold air falls and travels out and the heat goes in, so that you get a convection of air going through in the bathroom that might actually cut the mustard. But meanwhile, I
Thank
would
you.
not cut the furnace
Thanks for
altogether.
coming.
Take care.
So people are ringing in the bathroom, and maybe there's. The vents.
Well,
No offense.
It's-
but I'm
no.
all one of those people.
Well,
What's
you
that?
know, it's a rough life. Here's some people are loud in the bathroom.
Get it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't thinking about that.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
what's that?
You might get a voter in the kitchen on the food, yeah.
Is that
Uh,
considered a-
Oh, yeah, we talked about, the police and security.
what's that? I
We
didn't,
haven't talked to code enforcement about doing any changes with vents and heating.
Is it considered an improvement? So they-
Right, because any improvement you make to that bathroom, you have to bring it to code.
You might.
that's not an improvement, that's a downgrade.
Yeah.
my God.
You know, dealing with that, we do it.
Right, I mean, no.
Alright,
Yeah,
and
you know,
anyway-
it's just a thought, it's just a thought.
We're gonna table both the town hall use permit proposed amendment, we're gonna table the Gatling Garden event insurance proposal both to January.
Yep,
Okay,
sounds good. Anything we can table to January sounds good to me.
okay, appointments and resignations, I think we're still waiting, you say, for the person to come and sign. that.
Tamara McNeil, has not actually been sworn in as a member of the solid waste.
So-
Committee. I'm hoping she's gonna be able to. Yeah, she just had a issue with one of her daughters. Was having, like, when she broke out and I was all over and she was having anaphylactic shock from what we don't know. So that's scary.
It's very scary. but it's a thought.
Yeah.
All right, and I know Leanne had said something about a training that she was gonna do, but I know there's nothing new for trainings that anyone wants to do that we had heard of. And next on the agenda is correspondence, and we got correspondence from Seniors Plus.
Oh, yeah,
Which is
that
the
was
area
that was in our
education.
packets. That was in our packets.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm just reviewing.
Just saying, I'm just saying.
So we just got that from Seniors Plus, appreciates our support. And with a phone number if we need to refer people. And other than that, we are adjourned.
Here you go.
Excuse me, I just raised my hand.
Oh, I'm sorry, I see the little hand. Hi,
That's
Jen.
okay. I somehow missed the word training. I know Leanne sent an email, there was a training for planning board, but the select board hadn't had a chance to approve it. I need to have a training within 120 days.
Well,
guess
you
it
know,
costs
I don't-
money.
I don't, is there a training happening in the next couple weeks that you know about?
I think you can get.
Well,
it-
Maine Municipal was offering one, but it cost money, and Leanne said she didn't realize that when she sent it out. But how do I find out about another training?
Well.
So I know Larry Giroux found his online. Cause he'd asked for a training when he joined the planning board.
Sure,
There was some sort of planning board through MMA. Click through or something that you could take to.
right. You know, I honestly don't know. I mean, if I knew how much it cost, I would just say, let's approve the money for Lenny to take a training for planning board work. And then whenever it happens, you can go for it. But I don't know. how
I have
much-
no idea.
So, you know, you have 120 days. I'm gonna suggest we table this until our next meeting too, so we can know a little bit more about when and what and so forth, if that works for you.
Sure.
I know.
Thank
every
Thank
year
you.
too Last year.
Everybody who's new at that is supposed to take a class. I mean, she's probably taken a class
Now
before
we know
because
what
she was on
it looks like.
she was on the appeals board and I think the appeals board and planning board workshops are a lot.
Oh, right, Leland?
No, the chair.
Oh,
Great. All right, we're gonna adjourn at 9:07.
Nice, all right.
Thank you everyone for coming. You're gonna come and get me, so you sit out there and try to
Bring her in,
season or the last
I'll
off.
bring her in when you guys sign the papers.
Okay.